My name is Minnie Watkins. I'm from East Montgomery. And the name of my book today is Norville. The big gray van pulled away from the curb, moving slowly down the street, and disappeared around the corner. Now it was quiet, and there he was, where he really didn't want to be. Nobody had asked him about moving. They just told him. You will love it, they said. That's what they always say when they knew he wouldn't love something. So now he had a new home where he had never felt at home, and a new school where he never knew him. Nobody never knew him. Now class here is a new boy I told you about. He imagined the teacher saying, he come from the South Pole, and you can all make fun of him as much as you want. And of course, there were no friends. That was the worst part. No friends. The boy sat quiet still on the front steps. His mother was standing just inside the doorway. I know it's hard, she said in her soft mother's voice. Just give it a chance. I think everything is going to be fine. He didn't look up. She came down the 4 steps and sit next to him. Maybe you'd like to take a little walk down the block. You might even meet someone. Yeah, sure, he mumbled. Like you can make a new friends just by walking down the block. But there wasn't much else to do, so he pulled himself onto his feet and slowly shuffled away. Don't go too far, his mother cautioned. Yeah, sure. Watch out for the cars if you cross. Yeah, sure. Come back before it starts to get dark. He replied again, yeah, sure. He moved along, looking at the house without much interest. When he had almost reached the end of the block, he stopped and stood perfectly still for a moment, as if he wasn't sure what he was going to do. Then he turned around slowly, put his head back, took a deep breath, and called out, Norville. Nothing happened. He clubbed both hands around his mouth. And now he shouted, Norville. He probably can't hear you. You have to shout louder, came a voice from close by. A boy just about his size was standing right next to him. A little startled, he shouted again, even louder, Norville. No, no, no. Still not good. Let's try it again. The both shouted as loud as they could, but not very together. Norville, Norville. That doesn't sound right, said a curious girl who had walked over from the other side of the street. You have to do it exactly the same way, or no one will understand you. Here, watch me. She raised her arms, counted to 3, and brought them down like a conductor. They all shouted together at exactly the same time. Norville. Excellent, said the girl, smiling brightly. There was still no reply, but more children came trotting up from every direction. It was quite a crowd, and some started shouting before they even got to the group. They shouted Norville. It was different for them to keep together, especially when several dogs joined in, howling, but everyone enjoyed trying. When they stopped to catch their breath, one of the children said, "Hey, I didn't know anyone named Norville who lives around here." "Is he new?" "I guess so," the boy said unconcernedly. "Everyone has to be new sometimes, don't they?" They sounded responsibly. They all nodded. "Are you a friend of his?" they asked. "His best friend, I guess," said the boy. One of the girls said softly, "If Norval liked you so much, you must be special." "Well, I don't know, maybe a little," he had to admit. Now they gathered around, and their question came from all sides. Everyone wants to know more about Norville. What is Norville like? Do he play ball? Is he smart? Will he come to sleepovers? The boy tried to answer the questions and best he could, and everyone seemed very excited to learn more. "I like Norville already," someone cried out. "Hey," one of the kids said, "why don't we try the next block, and if we find him, we'll come back for you." A group of kids ran off, and the others stayed to help with the shouting right there. Some windows opened. A few grown-ups looked out to see what the commotion was about, but still no Norville. "I think I have to go," said one of the girls after a while, "or my mother will get all bothered." "I guess I have to go too," the boy said quickly. "Can we come back tomorrow and help you some more?" the kids asked. "Will you come? Are you sure?" "Promise." "Sure, if you want," he agreed, and they all began to walk and skip away. For a few seconds, the boy stood quietly watching and listening to what they were saying. "I hope we find Norville. Even if we don't, I like his friend a lot. Maybe better. Hey, what was his name? Or we have to ask him tomorrow." The boy turned and started back toward his new house. The sun was getting low and the shadows long, and as he got close, he looked up at the house. Not so bad, he had to admit. We went up the steps two at a time. The boy had his dinner right away. Nothing in the house was fixed up yet, but it didn't bother him. He washed, got into his pajamas, and dove into bed. His mother came to tuck him in. Long day. As she bent to kiss him good night. I hope you will look it here. She turned off the light and walked toward the door. Good night, Norville. Pleasant dreams, she whispered. Good night, Mom, he whispered back, and in a moment he was asleep.